Hey guys, Amy Curtis here, and today I wanted to talk about the art of allowing. Now, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on this. I'm honestly recently only started playing with this, but it's been really interesting what's been happening. So I just wanted to explain to you an experience that I had on my birthday, really a few experiences that I had that all kind of led up to this one experience and how allowing brought it into being and how cool that was. So, just to give you a little bit of a backstory, so my mother just came to visit recently, and we mostly had a good time. There were some ups and downs while she was here. International travel can be stressful, especially when you're on your own and it's unfamiliar or outside of your comfort zone. But all in all, I think we had a pretty great time. While she was here, it was really interesting because before she arrived, I had been practicing the skill of not worrying about things that maybe I used to worry about, just trying to, take a step back and look at things more objectively. And this really is a skill. Some of us are better at it than others, mainly because we practice it on a regular basis. And so I had been, and still recently, I've been listening to a lot of Abraham Hicks. If you're not familiar, I highly recommend it. Some of Esther's rants are just beautiful and really inspiring to me. So definitely check that out if you haven't before. But she often refers to, the laws of the universe and ways we can let go of resistance or allow more into our lives. And so I've been listening to a lot of these recordings, practicing a lot of these strategies, I guess you could call them, or tools or, skills, actively practicing them in my own life. And so right before my mother left, I had planned to go to Berlin on some business, and I had already purchased a flight, but my accommodation wasn't secure yet. So, due to some other details I won't get into or bore you with, I was quite low on cash because it was towards the end of the month, and so my cash flow was very, very low, and it was towards the end of the month. I hadn't been paid yet. My mom didn't have local cash, so anytime we needed cash, we were using my cash. So I was just, down to bare minimum. And while she was here, I went ahead and I was like, okay, I'm going to go anyway, even though I'm not quite ready for my business. I'm going to go ahead and go just to see what happens. Maybe I'll get done what I need done in the few days I've given myself there. Maybe I won't. Either way, I'm going to go ahead and go and just see what happens. If nothing else, I'll have a nice trip. I'll see a city I've never seen before, and maybe get some information that I didn't have before that'll help me in doing this, when I finally get to it. So I'm like, I'm going to go ahead and go. So I went to book a hostel. There was a deposit required that was a minimal deposit. It was like 18 euro, 20 bucks or something. But because all my accounts were so low in different currencies, like no one account had exactly what I needed in it. It was like bare minimum at this point. And so I went ahead, I was like, because I use TransferWise, which is an awesome service that I highly recommend. I'll post a link below if it interests you. Although maybe after I tell you what happened, you may not want to use them, but I still think they're great. In my TransferWise account, it will automatically take from whichever currency has the lowest fee or the lowest exchange rate, which is awesome. So since I didn't have all the money in one account, I was like, I'm going to go ahead and try this. So I went ahead and tried it thinking it'll take from multiple accounts. It did. My request went through. I reserved my hostel bed. It was in a great location in the middle of the city. I was like, fantastic. I'm good to go. I've got this booked, and I'm going to be paid tomorrow. So I'll be able to afford the rest of the booking. No problem. Plenty of money coming in. It's going to be great. Well, a really weird, bizarre thing happened. There was a glitch of some sort. I don't know if it was a technical issue or what, but I was paid late. Like payday came and went, and I hadn't been paid yet. And this is very strange with TransferWise. In fact, usually I get paid early since I started using TransferWise instead of a bank, because it's like instant, it's all digital and it's very, very fast. There's way less processing time than with a bank. So I was expecting to get paid early, didn't. Payday came and went, still hadn't been paid. I was like, that's weird. Okay. So, instead of freaking out about this, which I could have done, plenty of people around me were, other teachers were like, what's happening? When I still hadn't been paid a day after payday, I, went on some message boards to ask people, and I figured out that people who had been paid through the banks had been paid. That it was all teachers who used TransferWise hadn't been paid yet, which is a very strange thing. I contacted TransferWise about it. Their office was closed, so I emailed them. I'm like, okay, I've done everything I can do. I'm just going to trust it's going to come. When it comes, it comes. No big deal. And so it was down to the day before my flight, and I'm thinking, well, if I don't get paid, I just won't go. That's fine. And again, instead of worrying about it, I'm just like, well, if I don't get paid, then I won't go. There's plenty of other things I can do here in the meantime and be productive, and I could always reschedule my appointment in Berlin and go another time. Like, no matter what happens, it's going to be okay. Like, it's all okay. Let's just see how this plays out. Okay, so this was my attitude towards it. I'm like, yeah, it's inconvenient, but it's not a big deal. I'm not starving. I have a roof over my head, a bed to sleep in. Let's get a little perspective. So yeah, I just kind of like relaxed and was like, we'll see what happens. And my mother, bless her heart, was worrying on my behalf. So, it would have been easy to freak out. But then another thing happened. Because I wasn't paid on time, the hostel had charged the full remainder of my booking the day after I made my deposit. Another thing that's really strange. I'm used to them charging the remainder when you show up for the room, and the deposit is simply to book the bed, to reserve the bed. But they charged the full remainder of the booking the day after I made the deposit, and of course the money wasn't there. I hadn't been paid yet, and the funds were low, so my card was declined, and they canceled the booking. So now I no longer had a place to stay. I hadn't been paid yet, so I'm thinking, well, okay, if all signs are pointing to, maybe I just shouldn't go. Since my booking was canceled, I'm out the deposit. That's not very much. If I don't go, I'll be out my flight, but that wasn't very much either. It was a cheap Ryanair flight, so no big deal. So I'm like, okay, I'll just cut my losses and I'll stay home this weekend. There's plenty of other things I could do. I'll have a productive weekend. I'll reschedule my appointment and just go to Berlin another time. No big deal. So instead of freaking out about this, which I could have done, I'm just trying to sort of go with the flow and see what happens and, read the signs of the universe. Well, maybe that's not what I'm supposed to be doing. Maybe I'm supposed to stay. And then, so the night before my flight to Berlin, I was paid. So now I'm in a situation, I'm like, I pretty much already decided not to go, but then I get paid, and I'm like, well, now I have money. I don't have a hostel bed anymore because they canceled my booking, and I did contact them, but they were fully booked at this point, so that was out. So I'm wondering, okay, I don't really have a place to stay, but you know what? I'm going to go anyway. I'm just going to trust that it's all going to work out, and I'm going to go anyway. I'm going to take my flight. So I did. I packed in the morning, had my lessons in the afternoon, went to the airport, did my feedback at the airport. The flight was delayed quite a lot from thunderstorms in Berlin, but because of the delay, which at first glance is just another inconvenience that many people would choose to get upset about, or God, the stupid delay. That was an opportunity for me. I used the time. I'm sitting there on the plane. We're sitting on the tarmac, not going anywhere. And I am messaging people nonstop, trying to find people on Couchsurfing who might be willing to host me. And I'm like looking for leads. Where can I stay tonight? Because I'm going to Berlin and I don't have anywhere to stay yet. So I'm just trusting it's all going to work out. A few people that I'd messaged, responded. They weren't able to help me, but they sent me links to other groups for like emergency requests or last minute requests. I was like, awesome, thank you. I'm going and posting there all during this delay, which I'm taking full advantage of because I guess it was a gift to me that I had this time. So before we even took off, I had found someone who agreed to host me. And by the time I landed, I think I had like 6 offers of people to help me, which is just so cool. There are so many people willing to help other people. So I landed. My first night, I stayed with one gentleman who came to the airport to pick me up, which was great. We had an interesting exchange. The second night, I was actively looking for a hostel to stay. Most of the hostels were booked, and the best ones, well, the cheapest ones that were also nice, were all booked because it was super last minute now. So, yeah, all the bed prices were a little bit much, but I was willing and ready to book one if I needed to, but I was sort of hesitating. I was like, I don't know, what should I do? And then as I'm trying to make this decision, I get a message from another host who confirms that I can go stay with him. And it worked out great. He was a maybe originally because he already had another guest, but he worked it out with her, and she was totally fine with me staying and sharing the room. She was also really cool. I got to meet her. My host was amazing. His place was really clean and spacious, and he was very knowledgeable. We had a great time together. I went swimming. Like, all these things sort of came about as a result of my sort of just letting go and allowing things to happen on their own, and then responding to them in the moment. And just letting go of any worry or doubt about it, and trusting that it would all work out no matter what happened. And so all these things happened in a row. I had a great day walking around Berlin, sightseeing. My birthday was that weekend, and the night before my birthday, I did a couch surfing hangout. It kind of got out of control. Lots of people joined it. It became a very big group, but I went out for drinks with all these new people, and some of them were cool, some of them weren't, but I made several new friends, and I was with this group at midnight when it was officially my birthday, and that was a lot of fun, a great way to start the birthday. And the next day, I'd contacted an old friend that I was going to meet with. This is someone that I knew way back from Lawrence, Kansas, back in the day. And after we figured it out, it had been 14 years since we had seen each other. Crazy. My friend's a big shot film director in Berlin, and that was super cool to get to see him. Originally, we were going to get together on Saturday night, but his friend ended up having a concert, so he went to that. I said, no problem. How about let's get together on Sunday. All I really got planned is I want to do brunch, because brunch is one of my all-time favorite things. I love brunch. And it was my birthday, and it happened to be Sunday, so I was excited to do that. He was like, okay, great. And he picked a place near him. We went to brunch. I brought my host with me. While we were there, I mean, we had a lovely brunch. We caught up. He paid for brunch for me because it was my birthday, which was really nice. We went to the airfield. Any of you who are in Berlin, I'm blanking on the name, but there's this really cool airfield in this hip, district of Berlin that used to be an active airfield, and now it's a park, and it's really beautiful. And we went there. That was really special. So after brunch, my host and I were heading back to his house so I could pack, because I decided to go ahead and go home because I didn't get what I needed for my business. So I rescheduled that, decided to go home. And on our way back, that's when one of the most magical things happened. So we stopped a few times to take some photos, to get a ticket. When we got off the tram, he was like, do you want to wait for the next tram, or do you want to start walking? I was totally open. I'm like, whatever, both sound great. So we started walking, and not 2 minutes go by, and I run into a friend who I've referenced in another video, if you remember from the True Friendship video, the avoider. The avoider friend who I love very much, missed dearly, and hadn't seen in months, was right in front of my face. He couldn't avoid me anymore. So we bumped into each other, and we were just like, is this real? Is that really you? I didn't even know he was in Germany, let alone Berlin, and I know he didn't know I was in Germany, because why would he? We hadn't spoken in a long time. But this is a person that I, was very close to, felt very connected energetically with and hadn't seen in months and months. And every single one of these things had lined up in such a way that I run into him, an old friend that I had missed very much, that I run into him on a residential street in what's basically a suburb of Berlin. It's not even the center or a touristy area. And I run into him on a residential suburban street on my birthday. Like, wow. That was like, it was almost like a cosmic gift from the universe. It was like my birthday present from the universe. Like, here you go. Here's an old friend that you've missed. We're just going to put you back together so you can reconnect. And what a beautiful thing that was. And we were both very happy to see each other. I could see it in his eyes and in his energy. We were both pleased by this serendipitous experience, surprised pleasantly that it had happened. And, we chatted on the side of the road for quite a while. I met his friend, who was also really cool. I was excited to meet her and would like to get to know her more. And the whole rest of the day and ever since, I've just been, well, I don't know if dumbfounded's the word, because it's not. Honestly, the more I thought about it, the more I thought, wow, this shit really works. Like, every single one of those things that I could have gotten angry about, they were minor inconveniences. I wasn't paid. If I had been paid on time, if my hostel hadn't been canceled, if I hadn't found the first host and then the second host, if my friend that I was going to see hadn't rescheduled from Saturday to Sunday, if we hadn't stopped to take photos, if we hadn't walked home from the tram instead of waiting for the next tram, like every single one of these things that I was just, allowing to happen, all lined up perfectly for this seemingly chance, but definitely not chance encounter. And that was such a beautiful thing. It was really special. It makes me happy that it happened, even if we never speak again. Just the experience itself filled me with such joy, and I am grateful for that in and of itself. It's valuable, and that's really cool. It's almost hard to believe, but it happened, and I think that's a great example of these principles and how when you start to play with them, when you let go of your worry, let go of your doubt, let go of your resistance to these kinds of experiences, they just flow to you. And my life these last few months has really been a great example of that. And I'm excited to keep practicing it and see what else I can get to flow to me. And so I just wanted to share that experience with you guys. If you're finding yourself in a not pleasant place, think about that. You may not be able to control what's happening to you, but you absolutely, the one thing you have total, complete control over is your response to it. And when you choose to respond to even seemingly negative or bad things with calm, with ease, you will start to notice how things shift, and you get fewer and fewer of those stressful things in your life. And when they do show up, they don't bother you so much. And letting go of that bother, of that worry, of that anger, of that annoyance, whatever, frustration, when you let go of all those things, you really open to receive so many other beautiful things in their place. And that is my hope for all of you. I hope some of you play with this. Listen to some Abraham Hicks and start playing with the principles that she teaches you. It's really, really exciting. So that was my birthday magic story. I just wanted to share that with all of you and encourage you to start practicing the art, or one might even argue science, of allowing. So good luck with that, everyone. I'm excited to hear any feedback from you guys in the comments below. Ciao for now. Bye-bye.